This call is now being recorded.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think I'm getting out of myself. Uh, okay. Tell me when you can see my screen, please. Yes? Awesome. Okay, good. So today we're going to be talking about fundamentals of business analysis. It's not really heavy. We just need to understand what business analysis is about, the expectations after the course, the role of a business analyst, what's needed, your key competencies, and all of that. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Next week, we'll be going further, deeper into what business analysis is about. Okay. So the agenda for today, um, what is business analysis, who a business analyst is, the source of your business analyst project, or we can say generally, the source of every project, because there's going to be a project before you as a BA is brought in to manage that project. The organization structure and your role or your positioning as a business analyst, the software development and methodologies, um, the concepts, so the domain, solution, the requirements, and the stakeholder, BABOK methodology. So that's a business analyst book of knowledge, BABOK methodology. We have six knowledge areas, sorry. So it's broken down in knowledge areas, the tasks, the techniques, and the underlying competences. Six knowledge areas, 52 tasks, and I think about 50 techniques. I can't remember the underlying competency. But, as time goes on, everything kind of um, feeds off of each other, it intertwines. So I don't think I'll be teaching you all 50 techniques. As we go on, you find out that there are some techniques and underlying competencies that actually flow through each other, that will be dependencies and all of that. So we really don't need to go extensively into the techniques and the underlying competencies. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me during this course or while I'm sharing and let me know that you have a question so we can address it. Otherwise, you can please write it down and we can share it afterwards. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's a 4 hour lecture or 4 hour interaction. By 10:55 or 10:50, we can go for a 20 minutes break and then come back by 11:10 or 11, yeah, by 11:10, and then power through to 1 o'clock. But if you need to stand up or if you need to take a bathroom break, please let me know. Okay. Any questions? Okay, no. All right. All right. So the outcomes or the expectations, we expect that you have a fine understanding of the role of a BA and the discipline that it stands for. Understand the project initiation and life cycle, have an overview of the major tasks that BAs perform, be familiar with the key business analysis concepts, have an overview of IIB and BABOK. Honestly, this last one, in my opinion, you don't need it, honestly. But you just need to know the techniques. So if you're writing the exams, you need to know the techniques as defined by BABOK. But for overview of IIBA, I don't really think so. But that's what I think, anyways. So, what is business analysis? Who is a BA? So, when you decided to enroll for this course, what did you think the role of a BA is? Sorry, it's a question.
In my opinion, what I would have thought before taking this course, a business analyst is a person who analyze a business plan or how to manage it, who can tell or predict what the outcome will be and what techniques or strategies could be taken to have a positive outcome at the end of the day.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else wants to contribute? If you don't,
Um,
yeah.
what I always like, well, the idea I have of a business analyst is someone like an operation manager. That's just my layman um
Do you say project
description.
manager?
Like a project manager, yes. Someone that basically just oversees how the business is run, is making sure that the team does like certain like things in a project, always liaising with stakeholders as well, and basically like a link between the top people and then every other person in the company. That's what I felt like business analysis
Okay,
was about.
okay, yeah, okay. Matthew, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, like I'm talking from my, like I work as a sales, like I've been doing sales for many years now. So like from my perspective, like business analyst is like developing new business routes, like analyzing whether the new product is good for market, like all like sales and marketing kind of roles. So yeah, that's
Okay, all right. So, who is a BA? It's actually extensive. So, a friend I hadn't seen for a while was asking me recently. He said, "Oh, so what do you do?" So I said, "Well, I'm a BA." And he went, "Okay, you need to be more specific." Because as a BA, the role is actually very big. Um, so you can be a BA and be working. So I hope you guys realize that there are two parts of being a BA. So you can be a technical BA, you can be a business BA, right? I'm more of the business side, not the technical side. So if you're more into applications, if you're more into technical skills, then you'll be in the technical side. But if you're more of documentation, elicitation, facilitating and stuff, then you'll be in the business side. I hope that's clear. Do I need to break it down? Okay, great. All right, so, source of the project, the structure and BA positioning, the software development methodologies and all of that. That's what we'll be looking into. Now, the role of a BA, the way that I define it, is that there has to be an existing problem. There has to be an issue before you as a BA is drafted on the project. BAs are usually not part of those who strategize from the beginning what the structure or the business should be like. So they're not part of those who plan the business goals or the business objectives. Okay. So for instance, if you bought a car and the car starts to malfunction, what do you think? Like, what would you do if your car starts to malfunction?
Either you will go back to the company where you purchased it from or you will see a mechanic.
Exactly, right? There has to be a problem, and then you go and then get the problem assessed, and or rather evaluated. So they're going to check, hey, what's going on? How was it performing before? What's the situation? What's your expectation? It's the same thing as a business role, right? There's a problem, you as a BA is brought in, and then you begin to perform a bit of analysis. You understand what the need is or what the problem is, and then you begin to do some research. So basically, we're looking into here. So can you see this new screen, formal definition of business analysis?
No.
Okay, so there is actually something going on. Because I couldn't see it on my screen either. I could just see that. Okay. I apologize for that. Apparently, I've been talking to myself. Okay, we'll try this again. No?
It's still just the first. Okay, now it's changed. Yeah,
Sorry?
I think it's working now.
Okay. But then you don't see the full screen. I need you to see the full screen. That's not it. That's not it. Okay. Still doesn't change on your end. Okay. All right, so is this good? Can you guys see? Is it legible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, so this is where we are. Who a B is. And I was saying right here that there needs to be a need. So there needs to be a need. As a business analyst, you prefer your an enabler, a change enabler that provides solution that brings about changes to the stakeholders, that gives value within the context of the organization. Okay, as a business analyst, there will be a need that you are addressing that brings about a solution. You being a change enabler to the stakeholders, for that brings value within context of the organization. So how Babok defines it is a business analysis as a practice of enabling change. You enable change, but before you enable change, you need to actually, there has to be what we'll call a current state. Now, current state will help you define what the problem is. So before you need to get into a project or an organization, so it could be that the problem is that you're trying to automate a process. Does that make sense if you're automating a process? So if they have a manual process and then you need to make this a bit more automated so that it doesn't have human interference. So for instance, if I'm trying to create a service where the home is powered from my phone. So my home becomes operable from my device. So I can turn on the lights in my house. I can open my door, things like that. So if I need to automate that process, first off, I need to understand how the switches go on and off. What I need to do I need to insert the key? Can I actually input a code um, to the entrance, that's to the door, so that I can open it? Can I apply the same technology to my garage door and all of that? So once you understand what the problem is, that this is being operated manually, now I need to automate the process. So that's why you need to understand the need, what the problem is, what the issue is. Then I'm preferring a solution. Okay. So once I prefer but before I prefer the solution, I need to help transform from where it was, which is the current state, to the solution, which is the future state, by enabling the changes. So what do I need to do? So I need to get the developers. I need to understand what is missing. So that's my gap. We'll get into it eventually. Don't worry. So I need to understand what the current state is. I need to define what needs to go and what needs to stay. Then I need to define what the future state is. So while I'm getting from the current to the future state, what do I need? That's where I'm enabling the transformation. Does it make sense? Okay. And then you have to understand that whatever solution you're preferring, it has to be to the benefit of the stakeholders, right? It shouldn't be what I like. So if I'm preferring a solution, say I'm suggesting that there should be an added feature to my phone. So say my phone, I want my phone to be able to take better pictures. Maybe do a 360 surround of my environment while I'm taking the pictures. It shouldn't be what I like. As a business analyst, you always think about your stakeholders, those who have vested interest in the business, and we'll be seeing, or we'll be viewing who these stakeholders are eventually after now. It has to bring value. So everything that we do as a business analyst, it has to be about the money, right? How much value is bringing to the organization? If it doesn't bring value, now, okay, so I retract that. It doesn't have to be money wise, because sometimes there's a regulation that says you have to change a few things, and so that will be bringing value as well. But most of the time, it has to be money wise, and then it has to be within the context, the influence of the organization. Currently, I work with, okay, so I used to work with Walmart. So in Walmart, if I'm preferring a solution to whatever project I'm being assigned, it has to be within the influence of Walmart can actually sustain. So I cannot bring a solution, or I cannot bring an idea that Walmart will not, that is outside of Walmart's influence, company influence, or organizational influence. That's what I'm saying. So it has to be within the context. Okay. So business, so here we're looking at identifying the change or the goal of a business analyst. So slides 5 and 6 are about the same. They feed off of each other. So we're looking at why a business analyst, identifying what is required to achieve everything within the confines of working as a business analyst. Okay, one thing that I forgot to mention as a business analyst is that your number one tool is being able to, your number one tool is critical thinking as a business analyst. So you're walking into a project, you're coming in and viewing the project in such a way that you're able to immensely contribute towards it. However, looking outside the box, if they could prefer a solution to a problem that they were facing, they won't need you as a business analyst. But you have to be able to think outside the box. So that's what you need, first off, as a business analyst. Okay, identifying what the problem domain is, and then preferring the solution. Again, it's like referring back to what we've said. Before you are employed as a business analyst, or before you come into a project as a business analyst, you need to understand what the problem is. There always has to be a problem. It doesn't matter what kind of problem or what kind of issue um, the organization is trying to resolve. If they don't have that problem, they don't need you as a business analyst. So it might be to automate a process, it might be for process improvement, it might be for change management, whatever it's called. There has to be something, right? There has to be something that you're addressing or you have been called to address, right? As a business analyst. Okay. So in the process of doing your job as a business analyst, like I said, you need to understand what the problem is. You need to define what the issues are. So first off, you're defining your current states. Moving from your current states, then you define what the solution, which is the future state, is. And in order to be able to get from point A to B, you need to define the gaps, right? You need to define what's missing. Okay. However, in defining what's missing, sometimes we'll also miss it ourselves as business analysts. And that's when a project fails. And what do we mean by that? So if you're not asking the right questions, if you're not, so during during a elicitation process, where we usually we were provided with the templates. What that means is that the stakeholders should have been defined or should have been named. Now, if the key stakeholders, or rather, if some key stakeholders were handed over and we didn't ask enough questions to identify other stakeholders, most likely that project is going to fail. Because if Phaser says something and says, oh yeah, so this phone can perform, the battery life of this phone can actually last for 8 hours. Okay, she's giving me that information. However, as a business analyst, I've also identified Matthew as being a key stakeholder. So I go to Matthew and then I go to confirm for Matthew. Matthew, so how many hours would the battery life for this phone last? Now, Matthew can say to me, well, I think 6 to 7 hours maximum. And so I asked Matthew, right, okay, so I got information from Phaser and she says it's 8 hours. And Matthew says, yeah, it's possible that it lasts 8 hours, but I say 6 to 7 hours because if you've been using it on social media, if you've been doing video calls and stuff, then it should last for 6 to 7 hours. But if it's just ordinary calls and text messages, then it should actually last 8 hours. Can you identify something that was lacking, or rather that I just brought up from both information or from gathering from, from speaking to both stakeholders? Because I spoke to two people and I got two different information. What do you think is going on there?
It's ineffective communication.
Okay.
We didn't discuss that beforehand. What to give you as the estimate, how long the battery is gonna last. We had different answers. Or it could be poorly defined objectives and scope. Let's say if the company's objective was like this battery should last 8 hours, but we didn't stick to that. Instead, we really didn't care, and it's lasting 6 to 7 hours instead of like what it should have been initially.
Okay. Somebody else have an insight?
Well, when you spoke with the first person, I think the person didn't consider other things that could make the phone not last up to 8 hours. You spoke with
Yeah.
someone else and then you got a different perspective. But the first person did not just said, "Oh, it's 8 hours," and was just speaking generally and did not consider other factors that could influence how long the battery could last. And then the other person gave you different numbers because that person was looking from a different perspective.
Okay. Matthew, do you have an insight?
No, Damiela said it's two different perspectives. You mentioned two roles of business analyst. One is business and one is technical. I believe in this, one person moved into technical side and the other person just business side, general thing and trying to sell the product. Then the other person more into technical information. That's what I could understand. So
Okay, great. You guys actually, you're following. I'm glad. All right. So both of the information was right. I'm sure you can come to that conclusion. So both information was actually right. But what we needed was for us to be able to confirm, from two different stakeholders. They gave, so like Matthew mentioned, most likely one was more technical than the other. So one was general, like Faisal said, it could be, you see, the first person gave a general answer, but then you need to go and confirm with another stakeholder. So it gives more insight into the requirement gathering, right? So initially you got the information, it will last 8 hours. That's general information. However, if you need to go a bit more in depth, you have to ask or you have to confirm from the other stakeholders. Otherwise, we might go with the initial information that was provided by Phaser. Hey, it's going to last 8 hours. If we were working on that 8 hours, you can imagine if somebody was using the phone, for other things, social media, taking pictures, using, doing video calls and stuff. And at the end of the day, the phone lasts for just 6 hours. In other words, we didn't do a proper elicitation requirement, is what I'm trying to explain to you here. So most likely that project will fail if we don't have adequate information, if we're not speaking to the right people, the right stakeholders, if there is ineffective communication, like what we said, so if you're not asking the right questions, if there's a lack of handover, so maybe one BA was handling, or maybe somebody else was handling the process initially, and you don't have full documentation, you don't have full handover from the person, most likely you'll miss vital information, and that will translate to a project failure. Poor planning, again, I'll refer to Phaser. So if you just allow anything, so any scope creep, so somebody tells you something new, you haven't defined what your project is about, you allow a lot of scope creep, there's going to be a project failure eventually. That's about poor planning, poor strategic alignment. You need to understand that not all skills will work within a particular project. So there are some projects that you just need a technical writer and a tester, maybe a QA. That's all. There's some other projects that you need an actual developer. So if you're bringing a developer, into a project that needs a technical writer is going to amount to a project failure. Risk management, understand what your risks are. There's some projects that would turn to be, or we've defined as being safe. However, there's always a risk involved in every project. If none is not visible, then what we'll do is to kind of project that there might be a risk eventually in future that is undefinable, that we haven't been able to define at this point, but it doesn't mean that it won't occur. Okay, so if we're unable to manage the risk appropriately, that would result in a project failure. Team skills, understand who your team has to be, who your stakeholders are, who needs to be within your team at a particular time for the project. Again, I say that um, you don't need all the skills in a particular project. Right now, I'm being moved from my present situation in the learning pod, and I'm being moved to customer insights within the same organization. So I'm no longer needed in the learning pod, is what I feel. So I'm going into customer insights where my skill is needed more at this time, right? So it will be foolhardy just keeping me within one team when my skill is no longer needed. So know who is within your team. Properly define objectives and scope. Again, avoid scope creep. Lack of sponsors involvement. Um, Within a project, it doesn't matter how minute, how small. There is the person that acts as a sponsor is she is also a SME. And so when the SME is involved, usually the SMEs are the ones who define the future state, what's needed, the objectives, the expectation of the project. So once you don't have their involvement, most likely it's going to result in a project failure. Okay. Any questions? Yes, no, no, yes. Okay. So we'll move into who a BA is. I think we already trashed this initially. Who can act as a BA, what a BA does, the roles of a BA, or why BAs are needed, their core competencies, and all of that. Okay. So it will be a business analyst will be anyone who performs business analysis, anyone who is able to when you say business analysis task, that's high level. But I want to say that no matter the job role, I think let's see. I have the BABOK, so I'm going to be referring to the BABOK, but I don't have the second screen to like share with you guys. All right, so anyone that is a business analyst can be a business architecture, business systems analyst. You can be a data analyst, an enterprise analyst, a management consultant, a process analyst, a product manager, a product owner, requirements engineer, and of course a systems analyst. So the list is inexhaustive actually. Currently, like I said, I didn't like numbers, but the funny thing is that I now work more as a data analyst than I work as a business analyst. So depending on what your interest lies, business architects or for business architecture, you're expected to understand the entire fabric of an organization. So you understand from the VP level, or rather from the CEO, maybe to the as the vice presidents, to the maybe associate VPs, and then the directors, and then so the entire fabric of the organization, how it runs from operations to sales to marketing to communications to support and all of that, the entire fabric. So that's a business architecture. Business systems analyst, basically you're more of technical side. So what you need to understand is the back end of the projects. So you're working more with developers, understanding how the architectural framework of the solution is. So I think I worked more as a business systems analyst at Walmart. So what it means, there's this solution that we were trying to um, kind of leverage on. So the US team already had it, and the Canadian team, we were trying to leverage on that. So my duty was to understand the solution architect, so what they already built. And then what I did was to break it down. So I'll break it down to, okay, so from this point, you log in as a customer. So this is what it entails. And then you'll be able to put in your information or put in your order. So you put in your order. After you've logged in, you can search for your order. So once you've searched for your order and then it shows up on your screen, then you can actually perform a return of that order. So once you put that information in, then that information should go to a store, maybe the closest one to you, or maybe it should hit a customer service person. They're able to process it, ensure that they are aware that your return is coming, and then they give you, or they generate a return label and all of that. So so that's the work of the business systems analyst. Data analyst, basically you're analyzing a database, so numbers, you're crunching numbers, you're talking, you're doing a visualization of what or rather you're telling a story of what the numbers are saying. Management consultants, or sorry, enterprise analyst is almost the same as the architectural business analyst. Process analyst, we're talking about process change. What needs to what you need to improve, or what you need to automate. So for instance, if you were shopping at Walmart initially, you'd have to go physically to the store to go pick up stuff, right? But then now things have changed. You can actually make order online, and your order will be processed, and then you can just go pick up your groceries. So you really don't need to have an interface at the store. So that's a process change, right? So we've been able to change it from manual process to I can say semi-automated right now. They are working towards making it that you can order and then your delivery will be 2 hours. So that's a further process change. Okay, product manager, product owner are actually SMEs. They are the subject matter experts behind the product. So they're the first point of call when you need to when you need to get information. Requirement engineers, systems analysts, basically they're more of the technical role. Okay. Again, if there's any question, please ask me. We can always accommodate that. Okay. Okay, what does a business analyst do? So first off, we're starting from here. You need to understand the needs. Again, I'm going to reiterate that there would always be a problem. There would always be a problem. If there's no problem, nobody's going to employ a business analyst. So once there's a problem, you need to evaluate the solution performance. So what has been working? So now what has stopped working? Remember, we used the example of a car. So a car was performing, it was at its best performance at one point. However, you find out that maybe when you start the car, it takes about 2 or 3 seconds before the engine fires up. But it wasn't like that initially. Initially, when you start the car, it just cranks up immediately and then you can drive. But right now, it takes 2, 3 seconds before it actually cranks up, and then you have to wait another 2, 3 seconds before you can drive. So, a business analyst will evaluate what was that solution like initially, right? They ask the question. So, Dami, when you bought it, so how long ago was that? Okay, it was 5 years. Okay, that's fine. So within the 5 years, what happened? How has it been driving? Was it like, so they'll do an evaluation. That's what we do as a business analyst. Then we're going to asking questions. We'll elicit requirements. So we'll ask the right people. Okay. Faisal, I think you designed this vehicle. Can you provide me more information? Faisal can say, okay, I documented everything. So you're going to be doing a bit of document analysis as well. So you go back to previous documentation, you go through all of those documentation that we had, and then try to gain as much understanding as you can about this problem. Okay. You can also do an observation. Maybe they do a test run of how the vehicle used to run, so you understand what the current state is. You can also do, so you elicit, you're speaking with people. You can do a document analysis. You can do an observation. You can also speak or maybe send surveys to owners, other owners as well. So they're also stakeholders. Say it's possible that maybe they're experiencing the same thing, or maybe they're not. So that's elicitation requirement. At that time too, you also need to be able to manage your requirements. So you have to adequately store this information. You have to be able to make reference to your findings. You have to be able to maybe draw conclusions. Remember the example that we also gave the other time of how many hours the battery life of this phone lasts for. And when we asked Faisal says it was 8 hours. And then we decided to confirm with Matthew. And Matthew says, oh, based on XYZ, it should be 6 to 7 hours, right? So manage your requirements while you're documenting the information that you received. It is important that you write out the reason why Faisal says it was 8 hours as against what Matthew identified as 6 to 7 hours. So that's part of managing your requirements. Then you're going to be planning your analysis work. So everything that you're doing here is actually planning. Being able to meet with stakeholders is part of planning. Being able to understand the needs is part of planning. Being able to document your findings and manage your requirements is part of planning. Being able to evaluate the solution, understanding the current state is part of planning. Being able to identify what the issues are and how to provide solution is part of planning. And then eventually we're going to be modeling. So model, document, validate requirements. So what that means is you're preferring the solution. So you're going to be giving a visual into what the solution should look like. Um, so if you eventually, so we have the phone. So let's stick to the example of a phone. So we have the phone. Um, Currently, it can give us the capacity of 8 hours battery life. However, if we use it for other things, it will be 6 to 7 hours. But then what we're looking for is a phone that will last for 12 hours, regardless of what you use it for. So in other words, we're looking to optimize the battery life. Yes, yes, right? Okay. So we're looking to optimize the battery life. And so we're preferring a solution. Do we change the kind of battery that we use for this phone? Okay. Or do we reduce the resolution of the video quality that we have, or the video calls for the video calls, or maybe for social media presence that we're engaging in? Do we reduce all of that? So all of these will be what you're going to be modeling in your solution, and you're also going to be documenting. Again, as a business analyst, we write down everything. We document everything, every important information. Some people document everything, whether it's important or not, so that they can refer to it in future, and then hopefully be able to gain one or two things maybe that was missed. Validate, in other words, I've asked Phaser, how many hours does this battery life for this phone last? She's told me 8 hours. I've gone over to Matthew. Matthew, what do you think? Matthew says 6 to 7 hours. And now I have to speak to Dami, who is maybe the project sponsor. And Dami says, oh, I think it's actually 7 hours. So between all three, they've given me three variations of answers, but one thing that is common is that there's a likelihood that the battery will last for 7 hours, whether you're using it for social media, or you're using it for video calls, or you're using it to make ordinary calls and send text messages. This phone will actually last for 7 hours. So validate, confirm from all of your stakeholders, you know, this is the issue. What do you think? What's your input? What's your contribution? And then document. This is what Phaser said. We call it a KYA. People say it's a cover your assets, but a more contemporary way of saying it is like cover your behind, right? So you're documenting this, and then you're actually putting real information. So you're writing the names, people who give. So the SMEs who give you the information, you have to put a date stamp as well, just so that you're able to cover all the basics, and then you can hold people accountable as well. So Phaser doesn't deny in future that she didn't say it was going to last 8 hours, because you have the proof. You also, what we do most of the time again is that once after we've had a call or a meeting with a SME, we'll document everything, and then we'll send it back to the SME, and we'll ask the SME to actually confirm in writing that you said that the battery life for this phone will last for 8 hours. And then immediately Phaser sees that and say, oh yes, I do confirm this is what I've just said, and then puts that in writing. So that in future, Phaser, do you understand? Phaser, you hold Phaser accountable for what she said or the information she's provided. You do the same thing for Matthew. You do the same thing for Danny. Okay, so that's what we'll do. What's the time now? Okay, we still have a bit to go. The source of the BA projects. All right, so before I go into that, who remembers what we discussed initially, what the source is? So I'm making that smaller so nobody can read from that. Where would the source for your project be from? It's actually one answer, or rather one word.
Problems.
Awesome. It would have to be the identified needs, right? If there is no problem, if there is no need, they don't need BAs. Organizations don't need BAs. There has to be identified problems or identified issues before the services of a BA is engaged. Please don't forget, there always has to be a need. There always has to be a problem before you and I can get a job. Okay? All right, so the source of the project will be from the vision of the organization. It will be from the goals of the organization. It will be objectives of the organization, the strategy, the tactics, and the tasks. Okay. The vision, the goal, the strategy that drives the company usually would have been part of the business goal or business objective of the organization. Usually the BAs are not involved in this. So this should have been defined way before the organization decides to engage the services of a BA. Okay. So now goals and objectives are different. They're not the same. Does anybody know what the difference are? Or what the difference is, rather? There is no silly answer. Just
Like,
say.
goals are like long time, like a vision of the company or something like that. Objectives are like requirements for a project or like something that's should be done, something like that. I'm not sure, so just
Okay, that's a good attempt. Somebody else wants to contribute?
I would say goals are something that needs to be achieved in the longer run. Objectives are which should be part of this current plan.
Okay, good. Yeah, all right, that's right. Goals are long-term. They're not measurable. So when you're talking about your goal, you're talking about, okay, so since I've been here in Canada, I want to be successful. That's a big plan. That's huge, right? It's not measurable. How do you determine success, right? Some people think, okay, so if I have a good career, then I'm successful. Some people think, oh, if I have the highest educational qualification, then I'm successful, right? Some people think, oh, my measure of success is by the kind of house that I live in, or maybe the neighborhood. Some other people think, oh, it's the car that I drive, or maybe my spending power. So depending on who you're talking to, your goals or your level of success is like differs, right? If you were to ask me what I mean by success, I'll probably have a different definition than maybe what Matthew has, right? So goals are broad, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. However, objectives are measurable. Goals, vision, they're about the same, they're not measurable. Objectives are more measurable. You can put a dollar sign. Remember again, so when we're talking about value, within business analysis, it has to be about, ching ching. It has to be the money value. Okay. So objectives are more measurable. You can put a timeline to it. You can put a dollar value to it. You can measure it by, so we said timeline, we said, let's see, I think I'm forgetting. So, money value. I think it's the people who can take on the tasks and stuff, but we'll get into that. So objectives, basically we're saying that is more measurable. Strategy, what you need to achieve it. So okay, so how many developers? Do I need a project manager? Do I just need a business analyst? Do I need a QA? Do I need a tester? Do I need so how much do I need for this project? So that's talking about the strategy. How do I intend to actually deploy or achieve my objective? And then the tactics, basically, they kind of feed into the strategy and the task that has to be done. So, how do we break it down? So we'll have the objectives right there, or maybe we'll have the goals. Say we want the company to have grown, to have doubled in the customers, in our customer database. So we want so by 2022, we want the customer base for this organization to have doubled, right? So, and then we'll start to break it down. What do we need to do actually to achieve this? So do we need more marketing? Do we need more advertising? Do we need to compensate our loyal customers? Do we need to improve our support base? Do we need to give more attention to, or do we need to change the products that we offer? Things like that. So you break it down. Okay. Any questions? Yes, no, yes.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Organization structure and BA positioning. So we're wondering, I think I mentioned this initially, that I think you guys should realize that there are two positions for a BA within an organization. Do you remember? Yes, no,
Technical,
yes. Sorry?
technical side and business side.
Awesome. So we said the technical side, which is the IT, and the business side. Okay. So as a BA, what do? We actually feed into all of this. So we're acting as a facilitator for the business solutions, for the solution team, for the project manager, for the IT manager, for the upper level management or the executive decision makers, for the business manager, for the product owner, and the process workers. So what we're doing basically is, once we've performed our analysis as business analysts and we do a presentation, what that does, excuse me, what it does is that the results of what we have, we're able to prefer solution. So we pass that on into to the solution team. What that does is that we're able to do a presentation to the upper level management and the executive decision makers. So they can say, okay, you know what, from your slide 1 to 3, I think that's important. However, we don't need the rest. But then they're able to use that to inform the IT. So I think we need to build. So, okay, I'll give you an example. I think I worked as customer insight analyst with Amazon at one time. So before Amazon Prime became popular, I think they were running into a bit of issues where Amazon Prime was meant to be differentiated from normal Amazon shoppers, right? So Prime gives you more, it gives you more possibilities into other products. You know, it gives you freebies. The only thing is that you have to subscribe to becoming an Amazon Prime subscriber. Okay, so I think 2 days delivery, I think now it's even reduced because one of my girls ordered something and she got it the very next day. She ordered it the night before and she got it very early in the morning. So, you know, that's part of being Amazon Prime subscriber. All right, and then they were having issues with returns at the time. They were having issues with delivery at the time. They weren't able to meet up with the 48 hours, you know, and so these were the things that customers were complaining about. So what that does is that you take all of the feedback, so all the generated feedback in a database, and then you begin to analyze it. So what does it say? Customers, first off, is that customers are not satisfied. So you look at it and then you determine, so what's going to determine customer satisfaction? So in determining customer satisfaction, you have to ensure that the 48 hours promise is being delivered. You have to ensure that the returns, the no fee, I think, what's it called? The free returns is also being delivered. You have to ensure that you provide customers a solid support group, you know, so they can call at any time and there will be a customer service support group that is actually providing solutions to whatever problems that your customers are going through. So once you address all of those, remember there is a need. The need is that the customers are not satisfied. And so you start to address that need. And then you're able to break it down and find what the issues are. So once you've broken that down and then you've found the solution, you feed it back to everybody. So the product solutions, in order for us to gain more customers, these are the things that we need to do. You present that to the upper level management. They, in other words, okay, so we're going to the IT manager. So now what do we need to do? Maybe there's a downtime, is what I'm hearing. And maybe we need to change the customer service personnel. Maybe they don't have enough information, or maybe we need to train them for better knowledge acquisition on what our products are like and how they can provide solutions to our customers. Then the business manager, okay, so this is the strategy we should be looking at. We need to put out this information, acknowledging the fact that we're lacking in this area, but we're working on it. You know, it could be those. This should be product owner actually, not problem owner. All right. So the product owner, what their contribution is, how they need to change, or what information needs to change, the process workers. So the BA basically feeds into everybody, feeds information into everybody. And then remember, we say eventually what we do as business analysts is that we prefer solution that brings something. Can you guys remember? Prefer solution that delivers something. As a business analyst, we're change enabler that identifies the need, that prefers solution that delivers
Value.
awesome, that delivers value. Okay, that delivers value to
Stakeholder.
awesome, that delivers value to stakeholders within the context of the organization. Okay, awesome. All right, so software development methodologies. Is anybody here familiar with the two methodologies that we have within an organization? We have the waterfall and the agile environment. Yes, yes. Okay. So, if you're familiar, what do you think the difference is between a waterfall and an agile environment? Who knows what the difference is? No? Okay, that's fine. All right, so waterfall environment basically is what we've all been used to, where before a project starts, we want to gather all of the information. So we're eliciting all of our requirements. So we think we have understanding of what the requirement is. So we think we have an understanding of the project. So we begin to gather all of the requirements. So we're asking the questions, we're documenting requirements, we're talking to stakeholders and stuff. And then once that's done, what we'll do afterwards is that we'll start to design. We start to design the solution. From designing the solution, we implement the solution. So we've designed it, say now we've improved so we've decided that, okay, so we're increasing the capability of this battery life from 8 hours, right? Was it 8 hours you said? From 8 hours and then improving it to 12 hours. Okay, so that's our requirements. And then we begin to design it immediately so that it can feed into 12 hours. Okay, and then we implement it. So, okay, so we start to apply it, or we start to model a new phone that can last for 12 hours. And so we test it, and then we do a maintenance of that new phone. What do you think the problem is with this methodology? First, we got the information. We immediately went into design. We implemented it. We started to model a new phone. We tested it to ensure that it can actually last for 12 hours, and it does. And then we do a maintenance going forward. We just released it. So now we have a phone that lasts for 12 hours, and we'll do a maintenance going forward. What do you think the problem is with this methodology?
Uh, as soon as the design is given, they implemented it. No time for like development or like test. Like testing is there, but I think they have not given enough time for development. Like compared to agile, I can see after design they have gone to development, then testing. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like this is new to me, so
It's okay. It's okay. We're here to learn. If I know how you're thinking, I can always contribute towards that if you're right or you're wrong. But it's always good to get a feedback from you guys so that we know where everybody is at. Faisal, do you have anything to say?
I would say the waterfall model is one of the earliest model that was implemented, and in which tasks are executed in a sequential manner, like going from the top, which says requirements, to maintenance, as compared to like it's continuous. I don't think you can come back. If let's say there's an issue at the first level, you can go and track it back. However, for agile model, you have the ability to go if you face any difficulties. Let's say in the third step, you can always go back and make the step before it better, so the issue can be tackled.
Okay. Dami, are you here?
Yeah, I am.
All right. So what do you think is the issue? What do you think is wrong with the waterfall methodology?
What I think is similar to what Faiza said too. It's like with the waterfall is just like hierarchy of information. It's just like going from up to down, but there's more interaction if it's you can go between like the I don't know people you're getting the information from like within the team.
Okay. All right. That's actually very good. Yes. So waterfall, well, from what its name implies, it actually, goes from the top right to the bottom, right? So you're doing requirements analysis, but the problem is we don't understand what the problem is, right? So that's the first thing. We don't understand what the problem is. Remember when we were talking about the phone, or when we gave example of the phone, right? That we got information that the phone can actually last for 8 hours. However, when we dug deeper, what did we find out? That if the phone was engaged for other activities, then the hours will be reduced from 8 to 6, or maybe a maximum of 7. And then when we dug deeper, we found out that you can actually stay within, and then maybe, the phone will actually last for 7 hours. Now, we don't have all of that information. Okay. So when we engage a waterfall methodology, we're only looking into the obvious, um, we're only looking into the obvious. So the obvious information that we've been given, we don't know if there is any underlying issues, like we were able to find out when we were performing analysis, for the phone example. Okay. So, and you guys are right. When it comes to the agile environment, you can actually understand the issue, then design a solution, then then you develop or you model the solution, and then you test it before you implement or deploy it. Now, if there's an issue, like I think it was Vesa that rightly said, if there's an issue, you can always go back and perform more analysis. Okay, so why is the phone still giving me 8 hours battery life? Why can't I use 12 hours? Or rather, why is it giving me 10 hours? the analysis and the design was meant to give me 12 hours, but right now I'm stuck at 10. What's going on? You probably find out that, okay, maybe the battery wasn't changed or something, and so you need to focus on that. So that's the difference. So the waterfall is a top down. You just understand the basics or the face value of what the problem is without digging deeper. And then it's top to down. So you get your requirements, you design, implement it, test it, and then you do a maintenance. However, for the agile environments, you understand what the issue is, you do a design. If the design doesn't work, you can actually go back and do further analysis into that. You can get to a development stage and it's not working, and then you go back to do an analysis. You can get to a testing stage. If it's not working, if it's not meeting up to expectations, you can go back to design and then check what the issue is. You can get to deployment. Eventually, everything is good, but then you find out it's not giving you the expected result. And so you go back to analysis before eventually you're releasing and performing a maintenance. Okay. Now, a lot of organizations do insist that they're 100% agile or 100%, or some might say they're waterfall and all that. I haven't seen one, to be honest with you. I haven't seen an organization that is 100% waterfall or 100% agile. Maybe, maybe tomorrow I get a new position and I see maybe 100% agile. But what I'm saying is that for now, for every organization that I've worked at, it's a combination of both. So waterfall and agile. Although a lot of organizations, especially the tech, they're moving towards an agile environment. I'm just saying that I haven't been a part of one, like I haven't experienced one, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they don't exist. Okay. Questions? Any question?
I'm just curious.
Before, oh,
For
okay,
example,
sorry.
oh, sorry, Damila.
No, it's okay. You can go.
Okay, I'm just curious, like you mentioned, for whatever company you have been working for, they never use one or the other. They're always combining. Why is that? Knowing the fact agile development, from the example we have discussed, is more reliable and more effective at the end of the day. So why aren't they just getting rid of waterfall when they know that if it's a continuous process, and if, let's say, a problem occurs, there's no way they can go back and resolve it from the starting point?
Okay. All right. The reason being that agile is relatively new. Yes.
Okay.
So agile is relatively new, and the organization will most likely have been existing before agile was introduced. Okay. So the organization most likely were operating on a waterfall methodology before now, and then you introduce agile, which is good. And agile is working, but people are stuck on what they know. Usually, you and I we're creatures of habits, right? If you sleep at 12, you wake up at 6. It doesn't matter how tired your body is, you still fall asleep by 12, and then you still wake up at 6, right? And now there's some doctors, maybe we'll call them the agile environment. So there's some doctors that are informing us, or rather, they're trying to teach us that it's better that you have 8 hours of sleep, but you've been getting 6 and you've been operating on 6 hours, right?
Mhm.
But then, hey, you're still going to fall asleep by 6. Your subconscious tells you 8 hours is good, but then your body is working on on 6 hours, right? So in an organization, people are used to how they used to work. Okay, they used to the old methodology. It doesn't matter what you bring to the table, they're going to do things the way the feel it's been working. If it's not broken, why fix it? That's what people say, right? I mean, you can't follow that, right? But then within that organization, you still find people who are working agile life cycle.
Okay,
Yeah,
makes sense.
Danny, you wanted to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And my question actually is, so in the case of companies that are using the waterfall methodology, when they have a problem, with Agile, you can actually go back to analyze again. So with the waterfall methodology, when they have a problem, how do they actually go back to figure out, like, okay, where is this problem coming from? How do we fix it?
That's actually a very good question. They usually can't go back. So they're stuck in that project. So it has to be like that. Usually the example that we use for a full waterfall would be government projects. So government projects usually will just gather the requirements, do the requirement analysis, speak to the SMEs. Okay, so what do you think this environment needs? Um, we need to build a new playground, for instance. So they go ahead, they design it, um, they simply implement. Okay, so are the swings working? Are the monkey bars, are they working? And then they do a maintenance. Now, if there is meant to be a slope in that playground where, say, when it rains or when it snows, um, uh, the water is meant to reach, so it's meant to be a free flow and then before a drainage. If there's meant to be something like that and it wasn't implemented, guess what? They would have to build, they have to break it down and rebuild it. So unfortunately, they can't go back. So, but government has money, so you can't fault that. That's where your taxes and mine are going. Anywho, any other questions? Sorry, before I move on. No? Yes? No? Okay, all right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the BA concepts, the key business analysis concepts. These are the you call them the domains, so they're basically four, but then the stakeholder breaks open again, and then we'll have extra two, but you see that afterwards. So is anybody wanting to go for a bathroom break? Yes, no, yes. Okay. So if we're going to be taking this slide, it's going to eat into the time that I said we can take our break. So do we want to take the break now and then we're back by 11? Yes. Guys, you need to talk back to me.
I'm open to anything.
Sorry?
I am good with like now or later.
Anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here,
Dami.
anyone, actually, I'm good.
Okay, Faisa.
It depends on you, mobile, because you're speaking more.
Exactly.
All right, okay. So let's take the break. We'll be back by 11. The reason why I'm suggesting is that we have about 5 or 6 slides before we get into the next topic on our slide. So I don't want to eat into the break time that I promised. So let's take the 20 minutes and then we'll be back by say 11:02. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back. Oops. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay, so hopefully everybody had a 20 minutes, good 20 minutes break. Hold on. Okay. Now? Oops, not this one. Can you hear me? Okay, great. All right, so we're going into the BA concepts. Like I said, they're majorly four: the domain, the solution, the requirement, and the stakeholder. Now, the domain is the area undergoing analysis, so it will be where your problem statement is emanating from. It will correspond to the boundaries of an organization or organization units, as well as the key stakeholders outside those boundaries and interactions with those stakeholders. Basically, all of this English means that where your problem statement is emanating from. So where the issue is, where you need to focus your attention. So that's what we refer to as the domain. So the organization, as it's affected by the organization, as is affected by the stakeholders. Stakeholders can be within an organization or external to the organization. A good example of stakeholders that are external to the organization will be, do you know?
Developers.
No, developers are within the organization.
Okay. Clients,
Who?
like the customers, the clients.
Awesome. So it'll be your customers as well. Your customers are valuable stakeholders, but they're not within the organization. Can you think of another?
Mm,
Investors.
Okay, good. Investors. Yes. Investors are also your stakeholders, but they're usually not within the organization. It could be the regulatory body, right? So they are instrumental and they're stakeholders. So say the government of Canada, for instance, they'll be interested in what, or let's not go too far. Maybe the Ministry of Finance. They'll be interested in what the banks are doing, but they're not internal stakeholders. You understand? So they would regulate the policies that the financial industries will have to follow, but they're not internal stakeholders. So that's what we're saying. So the domain will be your, help me guys, the domain will be your what?
problem area.
Awesome. It will be the issues, the problem area. It will be what you're focusing on. That's your domain. As it affects your stakeholders, whether within the organization or external to the organization. Now, the solution is a set of changes. So it will be what you're preferring right, to the current state. Remember, we said the current state is where the organization is at the time. So whatever it is that we're doing now. So for instance, we're talking about, so we'll go back to our phone example, right? Our current state will be that the capability, the battery capability for the phone is 8 hours or a minimum of 6 hours. So the battery capability is between 6 to 8 hours. That's our current state. And so from our previous conversation, can you determine what our future states will be? What we're hoping to achieve, that's our future state. Can you determine what our future state will be? We've spoken about it, we talked about it, mentioned it a couple of times.
Objectives?
Let's use the phone example.
8 hour.
So we said our current state is that the battery capability is 6 to 8 hours. But then our future state, that's how we want the phone to perform, will be what?
12 hours.
12 hours.
12 hours. Awesome. All right. So the solution is a set of changes to the current state. Our current state is the 8 hours. Okay. Our current state is the 8 hours. So current states of an organization that are made in order to enable the organization to meet a business need. Our business need is that we need to optimize the battery capacity to 12 hours, solve a problem. The problem, as we gave example, is that it's not just for a talk time of 12 hours. We also need the capability where people can actually do video call or social media presence, and the battery life will still last 12 hours. So, right? So that's a problem. Or take an advantage of an opportunity. Now, what this means is that you might want to leverage what a different organization is doing. So I give you, again, I've mentioned this in the past, you know, that I offered services to Amazon at one time, and then I worked with Walmart. My last position was with Walmart, right? So Walmart now, initially Walmart wasn't delivering, so you couldn't process any orders online, right? You have to go physically into the store to go and make your purchases or do your groceries and stuff. So now, since COVID, Walmart is trying to leverage the same services as Amazon, you know, providing delivery. And then what we were doing before I left was that you can also process your returns online. Okay, so these were processes or services that were not available initially with Walmart, but now they're leveraging or taking advantage of an opportunity. So this opportunity has always been available with Amazon, right? But now Walmart is coming into that space and wanting to take advantage of it, right? Where you can actually do your groceries online, you can do your returns online. So that's taking advantage. Another example will be that at one point, um, with all banks, you can only perform your day-to-day banking in the banking hall, right? So, but now if you wanted to deposit money, you can actually um, do a virtual deposit if you had a check, right? Exactly. I think TD started this a while back, but then other banks saw the advantage and then, you know, leveraged on that opportunity. So you can do your deposit virtually. You can deposit money without going into the banking hall itself. You can deposit money at the ATM machines. You know, you can do some basic transaction, you know, without you. So before, if you wanted to find out what the balance was, you had to go inside. If you wanted to print out a mini statement, you had to go inside. So all of those things is what I'm saying. So it could have been that Matthew started a trend, and I say Mobile sees that it's a good opportunity. I can leverage on it, and so I decide to take on that opportunity for myself. And I can either improve on it, or I can try to base my solution on the same model like Matthew is actually offering. So that's what we're saying. So domain is the problem, the issue
Problem area, yeah.
is a problem, the issue. Domain is a problem. So is a problem area is where you're focusing on. Solution is what you're preferring, right? Solution is what you're preferring to improve the process. It could improve the process. It could change the process entirely, right? It will solve the problem, or it could take an advantage of a certain opportunity. In other words, somebody's been there before offering this solution, and you're just taking advantage. You're modeling your own solution, or rather, you're taking your I don't want to say take advantage. You're modeling your solution to actually kind of mimic or prefer the same solution that somebody else was offering, right? So that's when you say you're taking advantage. Another good example would be the electric vehicles. I think Tesla offered this initially, but almost all auto organizations are offering the same thing right now. Maybe it's not 100% electric operated. It could be hybrid. So that's another example. So what a requirement is, or what a requirement is not. Okay. A requirement is a reusable representation. It's a usable representation of a need. So how do I break that down? Usable representation of a need. So what that means is that your requirements will be your documentation. Your requirements will be your insights. Your requirements will be your document analysis. Your requirements will be your observation, your understanding of what the current state is. So from the little we've discussed, who do you think provides the information on a requirement?
Clients.
Yes. We say clients, or we say the business. Okay. So we refer to the major stakeholders as either our clients or the business. All right. So requirements focus on understanding what kind of value, the kind of value that could be delivered if a requirement if it's eventually fulfilled, right? So once we have the information that we're working on, remember, the only reason why BAs are employed or the services are engaged is because there is a problem or there is an issue. In order to address that problem or prefer solution to that issue, you need the information. Now, I think sometimes a BA gets carried away and they're thinking, okay, so I'm going to get into this place, I'm going to understand what the issue is, and then I'm going to prefer solution. No, we don't actually prefer solution. We prefer solution based on our discussion with the SMEs, with the business, with our clients, with the developers. Then, after collaborating with all of these people, is when we now draw a conclusion. Do we understand? As a BA, we don't just go preferring solution. As a BA, we actually listen to other people. We listen to the SMEs, and then we draw conclusion based on everything that we've heard. Okay, so that's why this image is actually very interesting. The first one says how the customer explained it. Now we go back to why projects fail. Do you remember? Why projects fail? One of it was ineffective communication, right? So we come back here, and then we see here that the customer explained it here as a swing that is, I think it's a three-hole swing that is hanging on a branch of a tree. And the project leader understands it like this. So between the customer and the project leader, there's a miscommunication right there. And then even going further to the engineer, they didn't understand it effectively. So there's further there's further miscommunication here. And the programmer, this is what they came up with. The sales executive probably didn't think of it as a swing, probably thought of it as a seat, a love seat or something. And then the project was documented with a lot of holes, like a lot of air, or maybe nothing. So they were documenting something, definitely, but it just wasn't what was needed for the project. And then the operators, this is what they installed, because again, nobody really understood what the customer explained. And now there's exorbitant bill going towards the customer because everybody was involved. So maybe not all of this skill was actually needed for the project. And so the customer was billed exorbitantly. Eventually, the help desk really doesn't understand, because right here, you have this understanding from the customer to the project to the engineer and all that. So it wasn't adequately translated to the help desk. And finally, this is what the customer actually needed. So it goes back to effective communication, right? So if my understanding with this diagram is that maybe the BA was meeting with everyone individually. Sometimes it's actually advisable to have people in the same room to have them discuss what the project is like, so that the engineer can actually ask the question, the programmer can ask the same question, the project leader can ask the same question. Everybody comes to an understanding at the same time. Then if you need to verify, you can now go back and ask the customer or the project leader or the engineer and stuff. But so this is where effective communication comes to play. This is where understanding of the project comes to play. This is where adequate documentation comes to play. This is where validating. So everything that you do as a BA, so your day-to-day activities. So what you need to do, this is where it comes to play. Usually it's the BA that is, remember I said that the BA actually feeds it to every other department, every other stakeholder. So if the project doesn't succeed, guess who's going to be blamed? Not the project manager, is you and I as the BAs, because if we're being conversant with the project needs, and we've been documenting and validating, and doing our KYAs, we should actually have adequate information concerning our requirements. Okay? Questions? No? Yes? Okay. Remember we're talking about the types of requirements. We said we usually would have 4. Okay. We're talking about the business requirements, stakeholder requirements, the solution requirements, and the transition requirements. Okay. However, I said out of the 4, then it further breaks into, there's a further decomposition at the solution requirements, and they will have 2 extra ones, which is the functional solution requirements and the non-functional solution requirements. All right. So business requirements will be your why. Why are you doing this? Again, it ties back to what? So there's a project, and then you're brought in as a BA, and then we're talking about the why. Why are you doing this as a BA? So it ties back to the
problem.
Awesome. The problem, the issue. That's the only reason why you're engaged as a business analyst. Okay, so the problem, right? So the business requirements will come with the statements of goals, the objectives, the outcomes that will describe the problem, that will describe the issue that needs to be changed. Okay? Or describe why a change, or maybe why a change needs to be initiated. So it has to describe the problem, the issue, or the problem, or the issue. Or we said another thing, taking advantage of an opportunity. Don't forget, problem. It has to be, maybe there's a need. You're taking advantage of an existing opportunity. Maybe you're actually changing. You probably need a change, right? So there's always going to be a need. That is what would define your why. Okay? That's why you're going to be engaged as a business analyst. And then remember that we said that goals are really broad. They're not, sorry?
Measurable.
They're not measurable. Goals are broad. You could be talking about the success or increase, or other things, big things like that. So they're really broad. However, you need to break it down to objectives. So objectives are measurable. It has value to it. So the business requirement is where your why is going to be coming from, why a change is needed. Then the stakeholders requirement describes the needs of stakeholders that must be met in order to achieve the business requirements. The business requirement is more of the organization, right? The organization's needs. The stakeholder requirements is more of those who are those who have a vested interest within that organization. Now, we said that stakeholders can either be internal or external,
External.
right? Okay, great. So it will describe the needs. Don't forget to also said that stakeholders can be, so out of the externals, it can be who,
Regulatory bodies.
it can be
Regulatory bodies. External.
exactly regulatory bodies, it can be
Customers.
customers. Matthew, you mentioned one.
No, like I thought of something, but I just slipped my mind. So
Okay. Investors, right?
yeah.
Remember, investors, customers. If your customers are not happy, guess what? The business is dead. Okay. So they might be external stakeholders, but if they're not happy, the business is dead. If investors are not happy, again, the business is dead, right? Because they need to put money, like they need to put in money for projects, for the runnings of the business. So if they're not happy, if you're not meeting their needs, sometimes their need is not what the organization or maybe what it should actually be focused on. But then you have to find a way to pacify them. Because if a stakeholder, for instance, maybe a major stakeholder that is sponsoring Apple, for instance, says, okay, so for the next phone, I want I want the phone to actually have the capability to, I don't know, book my flights, at the touch of a button to book a flight that when I want to travel. So there's this phone that would actually tell me, okay, their ongoing offerings or ongoing tickets available for Hawaii, for instance. And so, I want a phone that would that is not just smart, but would think ahead for me when I need to go on holidays or something. So that stakeholder might want that requirement. I mean, it doesn't really give so much value at the end of the day. But then, as a BA, we'll have to find a way to either explain it why it doesn't give value, but somehow pacify the stakeholder is what I'm saying. Everybody needs to be happy, whether internal stakeholders, whether external stakeholders. If it's internal, if your developers are really not happy, they're not vested into the project, it's most likely going to be a fail because you actually need developers to work on that project. So if they don't like the idea of the project, most likely, it's going to be a fail. Okay. And then we'll look at the solution requirements. The solution requirement describes the capability and the qualities of a solution. Capability, quality of a solution that meets the stakeholder requirements. They provide appropriate level of detail to allow for development and implementation of the solution. Now, the solution requirement will describe how, okay, how the solution is going to perform, okay, capabilities and the qualities. So we're looking at how the solution basically will be performing, what the solution will be performing, okay? And then again, it has to feed, so every solution that we're providing has to feed back to what the requirements at the top is. So, like I said, as a BA, we don't go providing solution on our own. We actually come to a conclusion after we must have listened to everyone. Afterwards, we must have consulted, done our documentation research or documentation analysis. After, we must have validated all the information. After, we must have spoken to all the SMEs that are involved in the project. Then that's when we'll come to an informed conclusion. We don't just say, oh, yeah, I worked on this. So because I worked on customer insights from Amazon initially, so now that I'm working on customer insights with Walmart, I think what they need is just improve their the support team, improve or maybe um, expose them or maybe upskill them in knowledge of what the product is, and everything should be fine. It doesn't work like that, right? So you still need to do your requirement. You still need to elicit your requirements. You still need to find out from the business what the need is. You still need to do a current state analysis, what's actually working, and then determine what's not, so their need. You still need to define what the future state is, what the expectation is. You need to define what the gap is. So how do I get from point A to point B? You also need it. So eventually, that's when you can come to a conclusion that, okay, this is what I am preferring, right? So that's how we do it. We'll describe the how, you know, uh, concerning the solution that we're preferring eventually. So that's the solution. So how the solution is going to be um, how the solution is going to be performing on, what the outlook is going to be and all that. But then remember that whatever solution that we're preferring has to feed back to the stakeholder requirements. It has to feed back to every one of the needs that were learned about initially. And then the transition requirements. So okay, so what I should have done is actually speak about the transition before coming to, but I'll do that. So transition requirement describes capabilities and conditions the solution must meet to facilitate transition from current states to the future states, but which not needed once the change is complete. For example, the data conversion, the training, the business continuity. All right, so the transition requirements basically is referring to um, the requirement that is provided while we're in the solution space. Okay, solution that is provided, requirement that is provided while we're in the solution space. So let's break that down. Okay, if we're going to, let me use another example. Let's veer away from our telephone example. Say you were preparing a dish, for instance. You were preparing a dish. Your requirements would be the ingredients, right? Yes, yes. So if you were making a bowl of salad, for instance, you would you'll probably think about the salad, the kind of salad that you want to make. You probably think about, I like my salad having, being all colorful and stuff. So I'll boil egg, I'll have chicken strips in it, I'll have bacon sometimes, so all of those will be my requirements. All of the things that I need will be my requirements. Before I can make a bowl of salad, there is a need. What's the need?
Wanting the salad.
Sorry?
All the
You
ingredients.
want this? Yeah. What do you
Yep.
need for the salad?
No. Faisal, you were saying?
You need all the ingredients to make the salad.
No,
The recipe?
no. That's I'm hungry. right? That's the need, guys. Come on. If I can make a bowl of salad, there is a need. There has to be a need, right? That I'm hungry. And that's why I'm making the bowl of salad. Okay. So now I've identified the need and I have identified the possible solution, right? I'm hungry and I want a bowl of salad. Okay. So what's the current state? I don't have salad. Okay. What's the future state? My bowl of salad. What's the requirements?
Ingredient.
The ingredients. Awesome. Right? It'll be the ingredients. However, during the time when I'm preparing the bowl of salad, I need an actual bowl, a container where where my salad, that's my solution, where it's going to be, right? However, when I'm done eating, do I still need the bowl? Yeah, so that's what transition requirements represents. Now I can give us multiple examples. You just have to look around you. You actually perform analysis on a daily basis. Okay? You came to Canada. Why? If you can identify the why, that's the need. I came to Canada because I want my kids to grow up in a better environment. That's a need. What's the solution? Okay, migrate to Canada. Okay, that's my present state. I'm out of Canada. My future state, I want to be in Canada. So I've identified the need. I've identified the solution. Now I need to do requirements. Okay, what's my requirements? I need to ensure that I qualify. I need to ensure that I can bring my family. So you're going to be assessing yourself. Are you married at the time? Are you about to get married? Do you have, spouse? Do you have children? Right? Can I actually afford it? So these are your requirements. And then you do a self-analysis. Okay, so that's your requirements actually. So once you're done, you process that, and then you're able to come in. You've done a lot of analysis within that area. Hey, when it snows, I need to get to work. However, I don't have a car. Right? So you're doing another analysis. You're hungry, you need to make lasagna. That's analysis. So every time you're hungry, just think about it, right? I'm performing some analysis here. If you go into investment or whatever, you're doing some analysis because you can't just wake up in the morning and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to put my money into XYZ investments. You need to do some research. How authentic are they? You know, all those things, that's analysis that you're performing. Then eventually, okay, so what does it take me? What's the minimum investment? So how do I go about it? Can I just call up the company? Do I need to speak to a financial analyst or financial advisor? You know, all of those things, you're performing analysis. Hey, you're single today and then you need to get married. What kind of partner do you want? That's some analysis because you just don't go on the road and say, okay, you know what, this person looks like somebody that I might like. And so, I'm just going to talk to the person. Right? So you're performing analysis, whether you like it or not. Hey, is this person the kind of person that I like? Do we share the same interest? Maybe are we from the same background? Maybe I like somebody that is within my career field, things like that. So there is always some analysis. If you're getting into friendship with anybody, you perform analysis. This person talks too much. I'm not the kind of person that talks a lot. So hey, if this person is an outdoorsy kind of person and I'm the indoor kind of person, you know what? I don't think we can match up. The energy level cannot match up. You're performing analysis. If you're going out and you need to pick up a dress or maybe a shirt, sometimes you look at like a pair of trousers and like, okay, you know what? I wore this last week, or maybe I wore it to the same event where I'm going to be meeting my friends again. So I'm not going to wear that. Okay. Or maybe, oh yeah, this dress, I like it for summer, but it wouldn't go for this winter occasion. So I'm not going to wear it. That's analysis that you're performing right there. So just think, what I'm trying to do is asking you to think through your daily activity, whether you're at work, whether you're home, anything that you're doing. Most of the time, we're actually analyzing the situation. Now, for us to go a step further, as business analysts, we document everything. We validate our information. We ensure that this information um, is going to bring value. If I'm hungry and then I make a bowl of salad, yeah, it's going to bring me value because I'm going to be filled. But if you're the kind of person that a bowl of salad is just an appetizer, then it's not bringing value. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Great. All right. So, oops. Okay. So going forward to our solution requirements, we further decompose into the functional requirements, functional solution requirements, and the non-functional solution requirements. The functional solution requirement describes the capability that a solution must have in terms of behavior and information that the solution will manage. So the behavior and the information, I use Android, specifically Samsung. And there's always an ongoing battle between Samsung users and iPhone users, of which one has better, usability, functionality, the photo capability, and all of that. So, how it behaves. So, how does my Samsung? I am sold out of Samsung. I'm not the ambassador, but it will always be a phone that I'll use, right? So what's the behavior? What's the information? I feel like anybody can just pick up an Android or a Samsung and just use it. For the Apple products, do you understand? You have to be sold to the product itself. And once you get into Apple, there's no going back. I don't like somebody, I don't like an organization, a service, a product just caging me to a corner. That's the only reason why I want to use Apple. But then Apple kind of offers some information or some behavioral capability or capacity or solution of services to their customers that makes them want to stay as loyal customers, right, to their products. Whatever that is, I have no idea. I haven't an idea, but it's there. So if you look into a solution or if you look into a product or a service, there has to be some behavior. You can walk into, how many major banks do we have in Canada? I think there are 4, right? 4 or 5, right?
5, I believe.
5?
Yeah. CIBC, RBC, then TD, then
BMO,
BMO, then one more.
CIBC.
Okay. All right. So about 4 or 5. Yeah.
Scotia Bank.
Okay. So they kind of offer the same service, right? But there's some that you walk into and you feel welcomed from the entrance. So that's the behavior, right? So It's not like it's not like they're offering any service that is different from the other bank. So you're going into BMO, you're going into Scotiabank, you're going to CIBC, and you're going into TD. You know, you're going into any of this bank or RBC, they offer virtually the same service. You want a loan, they'll most likely offer you the same thing. I mean, if you go to one bank and they ask you for some requirements, most likely it's the same thing that you meet in the other banks. Do you understand? They have a policy that kind of guides their processes and stuff. So it's the same thing. However, what makes you feel welcomed in one bank as against, transacting in the other bank when they offer the same service? So it will be the behavior and the information that solution will manage. Is that understandable? Yes? Okay, good. And then, so that's the functional solution requirements. It will be the behavior and the information that the solution will manage. So basically, it will be the capabilities that is describing. Okay. And then the non-functional requirements will describe conditions under which solution must remain effective or qualities that a solution must have. Okay, so we're looking at solution requirements. So this is no longer capabilities. It's not describing capabilities. It's describing the conditions. If I click on the escape key on my laptop, it should turn it off. Do you understand? Or if I click on the phone icon on this meeting, the Google Meet page, then it should sign me out of this call. So it will give the condition. So if I do that, if I click on the phone icon, it should sign me out. So some certain conditions have to be met. Do you understand? If I insert my key to the door and I turn it, it should open the entrance to my house. Right? If I go to my electricity or my light switch and I flick it, the lights should come on. So it would describe the conditions under which the solution must remain effective. So the solutions have to be met before you can say, okay, this functional requirement is being performed. Questions? Yes, no, can I move on? Okay, good. All right. So here we're looking at the needs, requirements, or design. The needs, remember, before you can be engaged as a business analyst, there has to be a problem or an issue. Or the third one, you're leveraging an existing opportunity. Okay. So we're saying design does not necessarily mean technical design. These are responsible for definition of design at some level. Requirements are focused on the need. Design is focused on the solution. All right. So when we're referring to a design, it doesn't, most of it, excuse me. Let me just get a cup of water. Sorry, I think I'm running dry. Okay. So we're saying that reference to requirements is focused on the problem, is focused on the issue, is focused on the opportunity, an existing opportunity that will probably be interested in leveraging on. And the design is usually focused on the solution. So whatever solution that we're looking into, it doesn't have to be technical. It has to be that is preferring, it could be a model actually. So um, it could be making reference to automating a process. So once you design the automated process, or am I when I'm trying to explain an automation, I usually use Miro or Visio. Do we know those applications? Are we familiar to Miro or Visio?
I've heard about Microsoft Visio, but I don't know what the other one is.
Okay, Miro. All right. They're actually not difficult, to be honest. I think a lot of times when you hear about applications and stuff, before you get into the role itself, you're wondering how you're going to be able to learn all of these application tools and all that. But it's not difficult. It's just it's like a flow chart that actually describes a process. So you're bringing shapes to help whoever it is, maybe the business or maybe your stakeholders or your colleagues, whoever, to understand a particular process. So from where the process is starting from, and then it flows to, say, we're describing. So we're using this phone again. So you're going to be putting together a process flow that will describe where the process actually starts from. So in order to use your phone, you have to turn it on. So the process flow will show that you turn on the phone. Now it flows into another where it says the phone actually comes on. So when it comes on, so the screen lights up and then you have a welcome message, right? So that's the next step. And then maybe the next step will be it would ask you to input your password. Okay. So you're starting, you turn it on, the welcome welcome message appears on the screen, and then you input your password, and then it goes on to show you the welcome screen. So all of those, right, is the process flow before you can actually use your phone. So this is what you document in your design. Okay. So a requirement can be to view your 6-month sales data across multiple organization units in a single view. And then your design, which you're offering as a solution, is to sketch a dashboard. So this is my need. I want to view 6 months of sales data across multiple organizations, organizational units in a single view. And so we use, as a design, we can use Power BI, we can use Excel, we can use Tableau. Which other data analysis application do I know out there? Yeah, so we can use all of those for our dashboard. Again, our requirement is to reduce the amount of time required to pick and pack a customer order. So we can use a process model, which I was trying to explain as the flow charts, Visio, using Visio or Miro, whatever it's called, right, for the process model. Again, another requirement is to record and access medical patient's history. We can do a screen mock-up. A screen mock-up basically would look like the phone process that I was trying to explain. So you can do a mock-up of where the process starts when the patient actually checks in. I think discussing with my colleagues, what I've found out is that when you go to the hospital, there are multiple points where some processes can be eliminated, because once you check in, how many people have been to the emergency before? How long did it take for a doctor to actually see you?
7 to 8 hours.
Huh?
7 to 8 hours.
It's that bad, I know. And then eventually, how long did it take before you left the hospital?
After the doctor has seen me,
Yeah,
1 hour.
it just took 1 hour for the doctor to see you.
No. Like, so I waited for the doctor for like 7 to 8 hours. Doctor came. It took like 10 minutes, and then after that, prescribed something, and I was out within like an hour.
Okay, so invariably you spend 10 hours
Yes,
just for the doctor to see you for 20
exactly.
minutes. Okay, see. So what I'm trying to say is that there are actually some steps that can be eliminated. So I don't know why they're using the patient's history, the medical patient's history. There's some steps that can be eliminated only if they were engaging the services of a business analyst, right? So I think the moment you get in, you present your
Health card. Yeah.
health card, right? So you present your health card. They're going to do some vitals on you and stuff, and then I guess they move you. No, they put you on a queue. No. They take your health card and then they put you on a queue to take your vitals. From getting your health card and up to the point where you actually do the vitals, it could take like 2 hours. Okay, so there's some steps that can be eliminated. Maybe as you come in, once you scan your health card, it immediately links to your family doctor, and so your history is brought forward. Things like that is what I'm saying. So there's some steps that, because they have to manually now
Type
do your vitals, they have to manually now put you on a queue, and then the queue takes you, through the process of seeing a doctor and all that, and then a visit that shouldn't be more than 30-40 minutes takes you about 10 hours. And if you drove down there, God help you, you also have to pay for parking for that 10 hours, right? So this is this is a process that I honestly think needs to be improved, right? But don't listen to me. Okay, so there's another requirement. Develop business strategy, goals, and objectives for a new business. So basically, it's a new business, and then we're looking at how the business can actually function. So what we're doing is to design a business capability model where you can include the architecture, what the business is going to look like. The people that you're going to be hiring or engaging their skills within that organization. So basically, that's what we're doing. So again, we're talking about the fact that design doesn't always have to be technical. it had that most of the time it's part of solution where you're presenting a model, where you're presenting a visual of what the solution should be like, right? Okay, the last one, provide information in English and French. If you've been to any website here in Canada, you can attest to the fact that there is a prototype, or rather, sorry, there is a provision where you can actually read same text in English and French. So also what we're saying here is to have a display of the same information that gives a prototype that this information is available in English and French. Okay. Questions? No. Okay. All right. So I think we brushed over this initially. So examples of business analysis stakeholders. So we said they could be internal as well as being external. What I see here is majorly internal. For all of the ones mentioned here, is not everyone that is needed within a project. So not all of these stakeholders are needed within a project. So you can, for the position I'm in at the moment, we do have a developer, but he's working more as a technical writer right here. He's working more as a technical writer. We have a trainer. I double as a trainer. I also double as a compliance and risk management person. We have change managers. We don't have system analysts. My SME will be the product owner. The project sponsor is not within my team. The project manager is not within my team. Solution architect is not within my team. However, for all of these SMEs, they need information from the business analyst. Again, we said that the business analyst would feed into all of these stakeholders. Don't forget that the business analyst wants, they have a conclusion from the analysis, they would always feed back into into all of these roles, okay? And it's also, let me mention here that it's also a great skill if a business analyst can actually upskill and perform beyond being a business analyst. So you could be a technical writer at one point, a change manager at another point. You could actually, and you could be working as a product owner as well. You know, it's a great skill to have. It will help you become more stabilized within the industry, job guarantee as well. So you become a skill that is not limited, or that is not limited. You can actually perform in other areas as well. Sorry, my phone battery is dying. I'm just going to charge it while we'll continue. Okay. Great. All right. So identifying stakeholders. The stakeholders that are involved in a project usually should be responsible. They will be accountable. They should be consulted, and then they should be involved. However, it's not all stakeholders that should be responsible. Not all stakeholders need to be accountable. Not all stakeholders are consulted, but all stakeholders should be informed. Why do you think this is?
So I think I'm going to start from informed. I think all stakeholders should be informed because at the end of the day, whatever the solution is affects everyone across board. As for as for the stakeholders being consulted, because like you previously said, not everyone is needed on that particular task. So not everyone should be consulted. Only those that are actually like the subject matter experts that are actually needed need to be consulted. And based on who needs to be consulted for the project after the analysis has been done or is being done, would then determine who is actually accountable and who is responsible for the tasks involved. That's the way I see it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right. Usually, within a project, only one person is held accountable, and usually is the VA, so that you actually know who's responsible for. Usually, it's not even the success because once the project is successful, right? So every stakeholder wants to have a stake in that in the success of that project. But once it fails, no stakeholder will be willing to share that, right? So usually the failure of the project, so it's going to be blamed on most likely the business analyst. Why? Because if we refer back to the reasons why project fail, remember effective communications, scope creep, um, inability to identify who the right stakeholders are, even when the sponsor isn't interested, things like that. So everything will be blamed on because the business analyst is meant to be a people manager, and you should be able to bring everybody on board. It doesn't matter if we'll say, oh, I don't like Mobile's face. That's not the issue here. But you should be able to be a team player with Mobile and then bring her on board the team. Like be able to manage everybody. Everyone is different. Everybody's level of understanding or knowledge acquisition is different. So but be able to manage everybody, and so that's why the business analyst is held accountable. The person who is ultimately accountable for process or tasks being completed appropriately. Or on the other hand, it can also be the project manager. Okay. This person is the one responsible and accountable. Okay. Um, the person who actually carries out the process or task assignments is responsible to get the job done. So accountable could be the project manager, responsible could be the person who could be the BA. Those consulted will be the business, people who are not directly involved in carrying out the task, but who are consulted, maybe the stakeholder or the subject matter experts. So they could be the customers, the business, the SMEs. So these are the people that are consulted. And now those that are informed could be everybody that has a stake in the project are those that that are informed. Um, Again, back to what we've been saying, not everybody is responsible, not everybody is accountable. If you're not within the project, say you're in a team, but you're not assigned to a particular project, you don't need to be responsible or accountable. And you don't need to be consulted either. But then because it's going to affect everyone needs to be informed. So, questions? Okay, good. We're moving. Okay, so um, we have a class activity here, and everyone needs to participate. There are stakeholders on the left, and there are description of what the stakeholder do on the right. Okay. So what you do is to match the stakeholder with the description. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have 10. So I expect that you come up with 3 that will match up with the description. I'll give us 5 minutes to read through, and then you tell us which ones. Good, good. Can you see it? Do I need to make it bigger?
Oh, it's good.
It's good? Okay. All right. So I'll give us a couple of minutes to read through, and then, okay, maybe I should suggest, do you want to pick the ones you want, or should I just assign?
You can assign it, would be easier that way.
Okay, so business analyst, customer, project manager, Faiza, end
Okay.
user, operational support supplier, Matthew, domain, SME, tester, implementation, SME, Dami. Regulator, you can leave that out.
If you don't mind, can you make it a little more bigger?
Okay, sure. Good.
Yeah, good.
But you'll be missing out on some stuff.
Yeah, it's cutting out some things down
Yeah.
there.
Hold on. Is that better? I think it's manageable.
Yeah, this is manageable.
Too much.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, yes. No, no. Yes, or do we want this as a takeaway? But then we'll have to join the class like 5 minutes before we'll start for next week so that we can quickly discuss it. So we can either do it now or we have it as a takeaway. What do you prefer? Yes?
I'm ready. I hope.
Takeaway? You're ready?
Yeah, I'm like I went through my
Okay. All right. So you're doing business analyst, customer, and project manager.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
So I will start with business analyst. So the first two on the left and right, I'm debating between them, but I'm leaning towards more responsible for managing the work required to deliver a solution that meets a business need and for ensuring that projects' objectives are met while balancing the project factors, including scope, budget, schedule, resources, quality, and risk. And then
Okay.
for customer, I would say it's uses or may use products or services produced by the enterprise and may have contractual or moral rights that the enterprise is obliged to meet.
Okay.
And for project management, managers are responsible for the day-to-day management and maintenance of system or a product.
Okay. Good. All right. So Matthew, are you ready? End user, operational support, and supplier.
Yes, I'll try. End user, I believe it's directly interact with the solution, can include all participants in a business process or who use the product or solution. Not sure. And operational support, responsible for the day-to-day management and maintenance of a system or product.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Responsible for the day-to-day management and maintenance of a system or product.
No.
No.
No, because operational support doesn't manage,
Right. Okay.
so they're not involved in management.
Then the supplier, I believe, is a stakeholder outside the boundary of a given organization or organizational unit, provide products or services to the organization and may have contractual or moral rights and obligations that must be considered.
Okay, good. So the operational support will be the one who has specialized knowledge regarding the implementation of one or more solution companies.
Okay.
No, that's wrong, actually. No, okay. I don't want to give that away. Dami, are you ready?
So I would say for domain subject matter expert would be any individual with in-depth knowledge of a topic relevant to the business need or solution scope.
Okay.
The tester, I have it right here. Oh yeah, responsible for determining how to verify that the solution meets the requirements defined by the business analyst as well as conducting verification process.
Okay.
And then implementation team would be have specialized knowledge regarding the implementation of one or more solution components.
Okay, great.
That
All
appeared twice, by the way.
Sorry?
That appeared twice, so maybe that's what's going on. I can see it appearing.
They has specialized knowledge regarding.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, it
so
appeared twice.
I believe the implementation and the domain, they kind of do the almost the same thing because they'll be having specialized knowledge regarding implementation of one or more solution components. And operational support So the regulator definitely would be
Enforcement
hold
of
on.
standards.
Yeah, that's self-explanatory. I'm thinking the domain SME is individual with in-depth knowledge of a topic relevant to the business need. So they're more like the product owners. The product owner or the product manager, they're different from the project manager. So they're called the product owners or the the product managers. Did we cover everything? Did we?
Operational support, like, is that the specialized knowledge regarding the implementation of one or more solution? That one? Or like,
So operational supports basically provides yes, they have to have specialized knowledge regarding implementation. But that's is almost feeding into what an implementation SME is. You know what? I'll take this away and I'll bring you the actual the actual definition. So let's write that down. So that's the operational support. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have the answers here. Responsible for the day-to-day management and maintenance of the system or product. Okay, we were actually right. That's the answer that is provided. Okay. Any questions? All right, so we're going to the last slide, actually. The last slide is IIB and BABOK methodology. Remember I told you, you don't have to pay too much attention to IIB. It's just a regulatory body for business analysis, services and offerings, and everything that business analysis stands for. It's a world-leading association of business analysis professionals. That's their vision. It was founded in October 2003. The goal is to certify qualified practitioners. So they're the body involved in putting together the exams and ensuring that stakeholders or people who are interested in going into business analysis are certified. They define the standards for business analysis practice. And so we have a book called the BABOK, the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge. Part of the goal is also providing community forum for business analysis practitioner for knowledge sharing. So if you're interested, they have periodic events where they send out information to registered or subscribed business analysts. So if you want to be a part of it, their business model, they say, is not for profit. I don't know how true that is, actually. Sorry. And then their mission is to develop and maintain standards for the practice of business analysis. So they are the regulatory body in charge of business analysis, professionals, and everything BA. Okay. Um, the business analysis competency model. So this is referring to the knowledge areas in BABOK. Have we heard of BABOK before? No? Let me just quickly show you. It's actually a huge book. I'll quickly. Hopefully. Why can't I? Can we see that? No? All right, so I have the soft copy. I also have the hard copy actually. So what we've been talking about all day is the introduction into business analysis, what it stands for, what business analysis, who a business analyst is, the structure. And then here we'll see the knowledge area. So it starts from here, the business analysis, planning and monitoring, elicitation and collaboration. So there's 6. Starting business analysis, planning and monitoring, that's 1. Elicitation and collaboration, that's 2. Requirements, life cycle and management, that's 3. Strategy analysis, that's 4. Requirement analysis and design definition, that's 5. And then finally, the solution evaluation. So making 6 of them. All right, so that's what we're referring to. And then now I'm going to go back and continue with, okay. So that's what we're referring to here. So with the 6 knowledge areas, the business analysis, planning, elicitation, requirements lifecycle, strategy analysis, requirements analysis and design, solution evaluation, and then the underlying competency. So if there's any skill that you need as a business analyst, it will be your behavioral character. It will be your business knowledge. How knowledgeable are you about the needs? How effective are you with people management, communication skills, being able to actually articulate your thoughts, asking the right questions, your interactive skills. Even if you don't like mobile space, can you still work with her as a team member? Saying the right things at the right time. The tools and technology. Remember, I was talking to you about some analysis application tools. It can be something as simple as Excel. It can be something as elaborate as Power BI or Tableau. It can be Miro. It can be Visio. You can go further and say, you know what, I'm doing some presentation with what's this called? It's not PowerPoint. What's that design tool called? So you can, there's actually some other cool stuff that you can do with PowerPoint. You can design with what's this application? So you know, you can have those tools under your belt as well. You can be a developer and still be a business analyst. Um, so basically designing logos and graphics and things like that. So what I'll say to people, and I'll say to you as well, is that I really don't know the tools that you need when you're going into um, a particular job. You wouldn't know really until you get there. But it's good to be a quick learner. So that's one of the competency I would also want you to add. You be analytical thinking and problem solving. Once you're told something, you know, coming up with ideas almost on the spot, that's a very good skill to have, right? And then we have, remember I said there are 50 techniques that will be shared in the course of this um, lecture, or, you know, information sharing that we're doing at this time, because I don't want to call it, I really don't want to call it a lecture in this course. Okay, so the knowledge area, define the practitioner, or define what a practitioner of business analysis needs to understand. So this knowledge area basically captures, I'm not going to read it, but it basically captures the essence of what we've been discussing from the beginning, that as a business analyst, before you're introduced or brought into a project, what happens? There's something,
A problem.
a problem or an issue is
Mm,
existing.
mhm.
And so once that happens, okay, that means there is going to be a solution evaluation right here. Okay, there's going to be a solution. Now, Babok describes it, or they listed it like this circle, but this is not how it happens in real life. In real life, there's a problem, and then we evaluate it. Like, you know, what's the extent? What am I looking at? What am I doing? What's the present state? What's the future state? How do we get there? Who do we need? What technical skills? What competencies? What, you know, all of those things. This is where we do the evaluation. Once you're done with the evaluation, you begin to gather information. So we start to elicit and collaborate. Define who the stakeholders are. Pour into formal documents that they probably have recorded for this purpose or this solution or this this, you know, previous solution, whatever it is that they have on it. So we're going to be doing some document analysis. We're going to be maybe observing the solution. Maybe all you need to do is, you know, we also use the example of the emergency in the hospital, right? So as against Pfizer going there to spend 10 hours. So as a business analyst, what do we do? Once we get there, we're going to be observing. You don't talk to anyone, just observe. Once you get in there, what happens? You document it. So Pfizer got in at 5 p.m. So you're documenting. right? She got in at 5 p.m. Then what happened? She sat in before somebody called her. Between the time that she actually got there and the time that the first she came in contact with the first person to attend to her, it took 30 minutes. You document that, right? Between that time and the time that her health card was obtained, you document that, right? So it took another hour before she was recommended for vitals assessment. So it took another hour, and then we're documenting. So we're going to be observing because it's possible that when you're speaking to a SME, some parts of the process might be excluded when they're explaining. So that's when we recommend observation. So it's part of the elicitation. And then we're also going to be identifying the SMEs. We're going to be documenting all of requirements in this process. We're going to be documenting, we're going to be managing. So all that falls under elicitation and collaboration. Okay. Then after that, we're going to be doing requirements, life cycle, and management. So that's where you check through your requirements, you ensure that it's in good standing, you verify all of the information that you received, you ensure that the requirement actually follows through. So he identifies your current state and your future state, and that you can actually provide or give value eventually when you're done with it. The requirements that is necessary, the ones that are not, the ones that are necessary, the ones that needs to be stored, the ones that are not, the ones that you need to get rid of. Then we're going into our strategy. So what do we need? What skills, what competencies, what tools do we need, in carrying out, in providing solution that takes us from point A to point B. Requirements analysis and design definition. So you actually break this down. It can be visuals. You remember we said that design speaks to the solution, right? The design speaks to the solution. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be technical. So it can be a graphical representation. It can be a visual representation of what the solution is about. So then that's when you do this. Okay, so I missed the part because after elicitation, then you start to plan actually before you come this way. So what I'm saying basically is that usually there will have to be a need, and then we'll do an evaluation. So we don't start planning and then elicit and go around this circle. But we can start from anywhere, to be honest. But usually we start from here where there's a problem. Any question? Okay, so this knowledge area is covered. Okay, so it's the same thing here. The knowledge areas and 32 tasks. So for each knowledge area, you remember we mentioned 6. So for each knowledge area, there are tasks embedded in it. So the business analysis, planning, and monitoring has 5 tasks. The elicitation and collaboration has, again, 5. The requirements lifecycle management has 5. The strategy analysis has 4. The requirement analysis and design definition has 6. The solution evaluation has 5. So within the business analysis, planning, and monitoring, that's where, like the name suggests, you're planning, you're stakeholder engagement. So basically, everything that you're doing is planning. Okay. The stakeholder engagement will be the SMEs that will be involved. So this is where you actually define who they are. You probably name them and group them. So the ones that are needed, again, is important that we ask the right questions. So do I need this person? Okay, I don't need this other person. This person is critical to the project and all of that. Usually, when we have a Scrum call, we're discussing the project, and then there's a likelihood that some names are dropping concerning a particular project because everybody within the team might not be handling the same project. And so once you mention, they tell you, oh yeah, that's the SME that you should be consulting for this project. Okay. So this is where we plan out, we name the stakeholders involved, plan the business analysis governance. What that means, okay, so for the time that we have, I don't think we'll be able to appropriately flesh this out, but we'll be going into the knowledge area starting next week because I don't want to rush through it. We have just about 20 minutes left. So I'll make notes of that for the knowledge areas. Okay. So I'll just talk about the knowledge areas. I'm not going to go into the tasks. So basically, the business analysis, planning, and monitoring is where you plan about the projects. So where you have all the information about the project, what the project is about, who you need to be consulting, who can give approvals, within the project. So you're also going to be defining the improvement or the solution. You're going to be documenting the performance improvement within your planning so that once it meets the defined improvement, then you actually know that the project is a success. Do you understand? So once you've defined if my solution basically is that I need to be fed, like, okay, so I'm hungry. So, and then when I'm fed, I need to feel full. Okay. So most likely, maybe I won't be eating something like salad. Maybe most likely I'll be eating something like lasagna. Do you understand? So once I've been able to define that I need to feel full, that's where your performance improvements, that's when you've already defined it. And so once it meets that criteria, then you know that there's been a success. Elicitation and collaboration is how you get your information. You're preparing for it, you're conducting it, you confirm the results with the stakeholders, you're communicating same information, and you're asking them to verify. And then, of course, you're managing your stakeholders as well. So ensure that all stakeholders are interested, and then you keep their interest. You manage their attitude towards the project. The requirement lifecycle management, you're going to be tracing. Remember, we said that all solutions have to align with the stakeholder requirement. Remember that? Okay. So once you have a requirement, ensure that it's traced back. So who is asking? Who is making these requirements? Who is introducing it? Okay. Maintain the requirement. So if it's within the scope, you need to maintain it. Ensure that it's actually relevant, it's going to bring value. Most times requirements are more than one, a couple of them. So prioritize them because you have a budget, right? So which one goes first? Which one needs to be attended to? assess requirement changes. So that happens within your agile environment. If a change needs to happen, remember when we're talking about the waterfall and the agile methodology. So if a change needs to happen, what do you need to do? Who gives the approval, right? So if anybody can give the approval, most likely that's going to be a project flow. So you need to define, and that happens here while you're planning the governance. Who needs to give approval? Okay. So if we have a project and we're saying Mobile needs to give approval for any changes. In other words, Dami cannot give approval. Phaser cannot give approval. Neither can you go meet Markley for approval. If it's not Mobile that is giving approval, then we'll have to wait. So that's what that means. Strategy analysis. Strategy analysis. Remember that we said we're going to be assessing or analyzing the current state. What's the current issue? What's the future? Define the future. Then you're going to be assessing the risk. So how do we get there? Okay, so what if we don't have enough money? That's risk. So what if we're losing one developer while we're working? That's a risk. Okay, what if the regulation changes? That's a risk, right? What if, okay, so we were in the COVID era, right? And it became a necessity to have a mask on and to have sanitizers, right? So every store, whether it was a beauty store, it was grocery store, it was a restaurant, whatever, they were all selling masks, right? Okay, so what if we decide that we're going to go into mask production? And then all of a sudden, the new regulation says, hey, you can go without mask. So that's a risk right there. Define the change strategy, right? So because we're in one phase right now, we're in the current state, and then we're going into the future state. So how do we move from? So what's the gap? How do we define how we're moving from A to B? Okay. The requirement analysis and design definition. Don't worry, we're still going to flesh this out, so don't worry about it. I just don't want to gloss over. That's why I'm just mentioning it for now. But we're really going to go in depth for every knowledge area. That's what we're going to be treating per week. All right, so the fifth one, requirement analysis and design definition. Now, this is where you actually focus on your solution. This is where you model your solution. What's it going to be like? You're verifying your requirements so that you ensure, because you've already defined, so all of these, you've already defined what the requirement is. You've already you have a solid idea of what the project is like. You've defined who is going to be your approver. Nobody. You've defined what the scope of the project is. You have all of those. Now, this is where you actually start to put all of those ideas into a solution. Okay. You have to verify your requirements. Why? Because we've started building solutions. And so therefore, you want to ensure that you're doing the right thing. Remember when we had the requirement definition, where customer was describing something, developer thought it was another thing, engineer built something else, the customer was built for something else. Do you understand? So this is where we have to ensure that everyone within the project actually understands what the project is about. So it is the responsibility of the BA to actually verify that the requirements are what is expected, and go back to validate, ensure that it is signed off. Matthew appended his signature in water and blood if it's necessary. Do you understand? That Matthew actually said, yes, I stand by this. This is what I recommended, and this is the expected results. Okay. This is where we define the requirement architecture. What it means is that whatever solution you're providing has to be able to feed into the entire organization. So if I did a process automation, for instance, it doesn't mean that, so what that means is that once people have already registered through this process, they don't have to go to another room. So using Fraser's example, say you get into the hospital and then you register at the entrance. Once you're registered, everyone needs to be able to see, everyone that shows, you know, needs to be able to see your records. So you don't have to provide your health card again, for instance. So that's why the architecture is important. It's the same thing as your house. So if you have a house and then you've designed the architecture, it means where the windows should be is where it should be, right? You can't design the house and then thinking, okay, you know what, I can either put a window there or a door, right? So that's already messed up already. If you don't know that it's a window that should go there, and then you're thinking, oh, maybe a door can go there, right? So it's messed up the architecture. So everything should actually fit into each other, complement each other, and make it a house. That's what we're talking about, and make it the entirety of the organization or the business. Define the design option that is available, analyze potential value, and then you recommend a solution. Now, the solution evaluation, which is the last knowledge area, we're measuring solution performance. Okay, so there's a need, you've been called in. The first thing you do, check the current states. You know, measure measure how well the solution is performing, and then analyze the performance measures. Then you begin to check, okay, so what's different? Where did we miss it? You know, what needs to improve and all of that. Assess the solution limitations. Okay, so assess the enterprise solution. So assessing the solution limitation is internal. So the problems that that solution is facing internally. Enterprise solution is the problems that the solution is facing externally. We'll go into it, we'll go into deeper details later. Then recommend actions to increase solution value. Of course, that's self-explanatory. So what needs to change? What needs to go? What needs to be introduced? What do we do? What strategy? What skills? You know. So that's when, and then don't forget that I said a BA cannot on their own do what?
Provide solution.
A BA cannot on their own provide solution. We need to consult with all the SMEs, and then provide a solution. So that's what we said. We do not on our own just come up with a solution. We're facilitators, and we engage the contributions of stakeholders. Okay. Okay, so these are the techniques. These are the techniques. There are 50 of them. We'll be going into a further dive later on. Some of these techniques, to be honest with you, I have never used. I've never used in my years of being a BA. So you can see 31 where I was mentioning observation, right? So there a lot of other techniques that you need as a BA. Some you never use or you never come across, but it's just good to know. Okay. The underlying competencies. All right. Analytical thinking and problem solving is essential as a BA. Come up with creative ideas, decision making, be a quick learner, system thinking. In other words, a solution is provided, and almost immediately you can kind of see how the system can provide solution, right? But this is more technical, conceptual thinking, visual thinking. That's part of the analytical thinking and problem solving. Behavioral characteristics, your ethics to the workplace, personal accountability. Everybody's working from home right now, but it doesn't mean that once you're assigned the job, I mean, you don't deliver your tasks, right? Trustworthiness. I discovered that quite a number of people like to hoard information. They like to hoard information within the workspace. I don't know what's going on actually, but hey, as a BA, if one person is not providing you the information that you need, that's why it's essential that you're talking to more than one person. Okay? So it's essential that you're confirming all of your requirements. It's essential that you're working, even if you've been told that it's only one SME that you'll be working with, you can always go back and verify by using a document analysis, right? You can always go back to do an observation. Okay, so you always have to verify. Some people just they like to work on their own. I mean, I don't blame anybody, but you still need to do your job. Okay, so organization and time management is essential. Adaptability. Hey, I think I've worked in the financial sector. I've worked in telecoms. I've worked in retail. I've worked in um, education services. So I think the only one that I haven't worked in is insurance. And maybe, I've worked in government, so I haven't worked in insurance. So, I mean, as a BA, if you're called into any position, you won't say, oh, I really don't like it here. You have to like it everywhere, right? So adaptability is essential. You can be called to work as a data analyst or maybe a systems analyst. I mean, one of the key competencies is quick learning. Business knowledge is essential. How do you deliver if you are not competent with the business needs, right? The industry knowledge, organization knowledge, solution knowledge, methodology. Should we be going agile or should we go waterfall for this project, right? So it's essential. Um, Usually, a, um, a PM should be able to make this decision or make this call, but it's not every project that has a PM. So you're expected to double as a PM and a BA. Sometimes a BA and a Scrum Master. Okay. So sometimes we wear multiple hats depending on where you find yourself. Okay. And again, it also boils down to the adaptability that we were discussing before. Communication skills has to be top notch, verbal, non-verbal, written, listening. As BAs, we should be active listeners, is what they say. You know, be the one listening. You can contribute, but when you're being informed, or maybe when you're trying to gather information or elicit information, it has to be that you're the one that's listening. Ability to actually write it out, coordinate your thoughts, and effectively deliver on those thoughts is essential. Interactive skills, being able to be a people, I honestly call it a people management skill, be a facilitator. So you're coordinating, maybe you're coordinating surveys or focus groups, or maybe within a team, leadership and influencing, negotiating and conflict resolution, being able to teach. So once a solution is effected, you also have to be able to teach the support team, because you are part of that solution from get-go. So you need to teach them how to use or how to operate the solution. Okay. Tools and technology. So honestly, is endless. I don't know. I don't know. I can't suggest anyone. Right now, I've been moved to a new role, so I'm expected to learn Power BI, which is what I've been engaging in before I started as a BA. You have to know application tools like Confluence, like Jira. So Confluence, you look at Confluence like your Word, Microsoft Word. So where you dump ideas actually, but they are all collaborative tools, okay? So your team members can see what you're working on. They can actually make edits if they're allowed. And two or more people can collaborate at the same time on the same document. So it can be your dumping tool for ideas, and then you all can collaborate and work on it or do stuff on it, right? So that's your Confluence. For your Jira, is where you actually you create issues. So once your task has been broken down, then you further create like a ticket. So you say you have this task that is meant to run for maybe like a month. So for every week, you break down your process to achieving or concluding that task. And so you create a ticket for it. So, okay, so week one, I'm going to concentrate on how to do an assessment of turning this phone on. Week two, so my assessment is going to be visualizing the screen. Week three, and all of that. So once you create the ticket, then you now pick the ticket and work on it. So you move it from one state to the other. So you're either moving from to do in progress, and then you get it to done. So that's Jira. Again, they're all collaborative tools, and multiple team members can actually work on the same project at the same time. There's some other ones. As a BA, I think, like I mentioned, so you could be working on a PowerPoint presentation tool, Publisher. You can be working on Miro, on Visio, Tableau, Excel, some other tools, that is not really coming to mind as of now. And then I hear some other ones, there's Salesforce. That's actually a very good one right now. I'm also thinking of getting into that. So if you're interested, so those are some of the tools But then when you get into the office space, they will let you know which ones they use, right? So sometimes, learning or upskilling in a tool or in an application tool becomes useless, honestly, if the job that you get does not require it. So it depends on you. So here we are, a summary. So we're saying a business analyst or business analysis is the practice of enabling change. But then, before we even get into that, can we remember how I described it? The role of a business analyst. That a business analyst is the one who enables
Solutions.
change
Yeah.
by identifying
The needs and the problems.
by identifying needs and preferring enable change,
Value to
identifying needs, preferring
Solutions.
solution, awesome, preferring solution to deliver,
value
awesome, to who?
stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
Holders within a context. Awesome. Okay. So business analysis is a practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining the needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. And then a business analyst, you and I, are the ones who apply their knowledge, their skills, their tools, and techniques to determine what the problem is. Okay? Because there's a possibility that you understand the problem as one thing, but the actual issue is another. So what it means is the ability to actually understand the needs, okay, before preferring a solution. Okay, determine problems and identify business needs. Identify and recommend solutions. Elicit, document and manage stakeholder requirements. Facilitate the successful implementation of the product, service, project, or program. Okay, so business analysis is performed before, during, and after projects. Business analysis is unending. Okay, so we don't just perform it before a project, during a project, or after. So we perform it, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. We're doing a solution evaluation. Then after the solution evaluation, then we're planning, we're eliciting, we're collaborating with stakeholders. We're documenting all of our requirements. We're managing our stakeholders. So it's unending, is what we're saying. Okay, so it is equally important to in problem domain and solution domain. Remember, we said the problem domain is where we identify the needs, and the solution domain is where solution is actually preferred. Okay, it's important. Its importance is not diminished with various project methodologies and system development life cycles. We identify two types of methodologies, the agile and the waterfall. We also spoke about the difference between both methodologies. You guys remember?
One can be changed, like a waterfall is like like it can be, we can't go back to the previous step, and it's not a new method. The agile is new recent method, but and we can like make changes too like afterwards.
Okay, great, great. So waterfall, like the name suggests, transcends from the top. So once the requirement is gotten, you start to build almost immediately, and then you implement, you do maintenance, and that's it. However, agile is iterative, is in smaller tasks, so you need to understand what the issues or the needs are. You do an analysis of the current state before you even start to build, right? Or start to prefer a solution. So that's the difference. The underlying competencies of business analysts are the analytical thinking, the problem solving, your behavioral characteristics, the business knowledge, organization, the communication skills, interaction skills, the tools and technology. Basically, being a people person and then being a quick learner is what I would say will be the underlying competency of any business analyst. The six knowledge areas of BABOK um, is the strategy analysis, the business analysis, planning and monitoring, elicitation and collaboration, requirements, analysis and design definition, solution evaluation, requirements, um, lifecycle management. There's six of them. So I said that going forward, we're going to be treating that extensively. Okay. I don't know how many of you guys are going into writing exams maybe later to become certified as a business analyst. If you're going to be writing CBAB, Okay.
The plan is to write the exam after getting the knowledge. So
Okay.
that's the CBAP, I believe.
All right. That's fine. If the intention is to write exams, please let BZQA know.
Okay.
So I prepared along that line as well. Okay. Typical business analysis stakeholders include the stakeholders, the sponsor, the domain SME, the implementation SME, the project manager, the product owner, the supplier, regulators, business analysts. So everyone who has vested interest in or who is involved in the project are the ones who we refer to as the stakeholders. Requirement types, remember we said there are 4 of them, and that solution is further broken down into 2. So we have the business, we have the solution, we have the business, we have the stakeholder requirements, we have the solution, and we have transition. Okay, solution is further broken into functional and non-functional. Requirements and design in business analysis represent gradual elaboration and solution-focused representation of needs. So we talked about that as being more solution-focused. Business analysis represents gradual elaboration. Yeah. So what we do within business analysis is more of finding solution to an existing problem or an issue. So here we are. Any questions? Any questions, guys? Perhaps from a previous slide, whatever. Okay. All right, guys, feedback. Is there anything that you were expecting today that we probably didn't cover, or
No, so far I'm satisfied and good.
okay?
Yeah, it's a good introduction to business analysis, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, same with me.
All right.
I
Okay.
would just like to know more about the certification. If you're planning on writing the exam, how what are the prerequisites or the requirements that we need to fulfill because before we appear? If if more knowledge could be provided in terms of that at the end, obviously not right now because it's just the beginning.
Matthew, did you have any concern?
No, like